Good afternoon and welcome to today's live Q&A session. This is Chloe.
Hi, and this is Abigail. And today we're going to be answering a number of questions that have been submitted through Instagram, Facebook, and I think we request them on Twitch as well. So the first question we've got for you, Abigail, is when selecting typefaces for a brand, what should I look out for? And that was submitted by Zoe.
Yes, and just to add on, Chloe, today we are streaming from Facebook and YouTube. So if you do have any questions that you'd like to ask live, then please do go ahead and leave us a comment, and we'll be answering these shortly. But yeah, let's have a think about what I would look for when picking out typeface for a brand. And I think it's all about capturing the brand's personality. So if it's a sophisticated brand, you might choose a more regal typeface like Baskerville, which has the history and heritage. Um, Serifs, which are the fonts with the little glyphs and details. They feel more, that bit posher, and a little bit more sophisticated. If the brand was more young and hip, then I'd choose a younger typeface, so it would be more likely to be a sans serif, sorry. So quite simple and maybe has a little bit of a digital feel to match the age that we're in at the moment. So really think deeply about the personality of your brand and the typeface.
Yeah, I really think that it depends on where you're going to be placing the copy as well. So you're going to want to make sure that you have a suitable typeface that is legible for large amounts of body copy.
Mm.
Then you can inject personality through the larger header types as well. Another thing to remember is that not all fonts can go onto websites, and there is a large amount of flexibility for this, but do double check that your font is web suitable before going ahead and committing to that.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Chloe. And I'd recommend everyone to have a look at Google Fonts for that. So let's move on to the next question. This was asked by Liam, and it's for you, Chloe. How does Buttercrumble approach website design?
Okay, doc. So website design, we do approach that a little bit differently to say an illustration or a branding project, because for us there's like a kind of a larger usability aspect to it that we don't usually see with, say, if we're designing some illustrations to go in a magazine. We don't need to think so much about how the audience is going to use that. Whereas a website does need to be extremely functional. You want people who are landing on your page to go to the right part of the site and either make a purchase or submit an inquiry. So we really do start with that user journey, mapping out the sitemap and finding out how your viewers are going to get from A to B and then convert. So from that we can start creating wireframes, which I suppose in other projects would be the sketches and the scamps and mood boards, before we move on to really fleshing the design out, either through some of the Adobe Suite software, or if we're using a particular platform like Shopify, Squarespace, which we are actually part of Squarespace Circle, so we should give them a little shout out. We might just jump straight on and start playing around and including the client with that process as well.
Yeah, and a bit, we were talking about this yesterday, weren't we? And it's all about obsessing over your audience. So it's really keeping that end user in mind from the get-go.
Exactly. And we're not saying that we don't do that for every other project, but I do think websites are a key selling tool and they really need to be functional.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
So moving on to our next question then, and this was submitted by Owen. Thank you very much. He asks, are there certain types of businesses that are more willing to invest in branding versus doing it themselves? So I suppose who's willing to pay for branding and who takes more of a DIY approach?
We found that everyone knows the importance of branding now, or most businesses do, because the world is just so visual. Chloe nearly walloped your laptop with it. As I was saying, like, branding is just so, it's so widespread. Design is everywhere. And we really believe that the world would be a dull place without it. And I think that many people would also agree with that. So I think it often comes down to a matter of expense, and startup companies or companies where it's just maybe one or two staff within the team, they may struggle to invest in a complete branding package, but there are ways around this, and branding can be built brick by brick. You don't have to go in like full whistles and bells from the get-go. Why don't you just, you can build it up slowly. What I would recommend is that all businesses at least think about their strategy for the future, because it's always so important to have something to aim for. So just to go back to the question about which types of businesses are more willing to invest in branding versus doing it themselves, I would say slightly older, more established businesses are willing to invest because they've kind of played the field a bit and are ready to take their business to the next level.
Exactly, and I think the size does dictate in which way companies invest. So if it is a huge global corporation, they may invest in their internal teams to look after the branding and have brand managers in house, whereas a company that maybe has 10 employees or more, they've got physical spaces, they're fairly established, they're more likely to outsource the branding. It might not be something that they need to look at day to day.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, Chloe. So yeah, I agree again. So we're about halfway through submitted questions now. So if anyone's watching live and would like their question answering on air, do leave a comment and we will aim to answer that this session. But moving on to the other questions that we've had submitted throughout the week.
Yeah, it's been the questions have been really interesting this week, so thank you. So I'll deliver the next question again, Abigail. It's from Lucy, so thanks to Lucy, and she asks, how do you respond to a client who wants to adjust your pricing?
This is really, it's quite difficult, and I think a lot of businesses face this challenge. What we always say is that design is all about solving problems within a set of limitations, and budget may be one of those. So we completely understand when an organisation has a budget. So for us, if they want us to adjust our pricing, then we can work with them to adjust the service as well. So maybe they're not receiving as many development stages, or there is one element of the project which they will maybe invest in at a later date. And it's just all about um, breaking it down and using quite a modular approach, because we know that one size does not fit all, and we have to compromise, and everyone's got to be cooperative, and that's just the way of the world. But it's always, I think, if you're polite and willing to work as a team, then you can always work something out.
Yeah, exactly. It's important to remember that a compromise works for both parties. It's not one person is missing out and the other person is the winner. It really is about that collaboration aspect and making sure that you are working together to solve both parties' needs. And then you know that everybody is fully invested on a personal level as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have one more submitted question. And if anyone, we've not had any live questions submitted this session, but we'll look out for one. So the last question's asked by B, and she's asked, "Do you ever collaborate with other designers?"
Yes, so we do collaborate with other designers. It's not something that we get chance to do an awful lot. It would be lovely to have more collaborations. I think, especially in terms of the lockdown, everybody's been working in their own little silos and dens, and it's difficult to, despite video technology, I do still think it is extremely difficult to collaborate virtually, especially on something creative, and because it's so human. Um, in terms of the collaboration now, if we see projects that we feel are more appropriate to another designer or illustrator or animator in our network, we have that conversation and we see if they would like to take the project or if we could work together on it in a sense. So it really just depends on the opportunities that are out there. If there was more opportunity, we would love to collaborate more.
Yeah, that's it. And we're so passionate about building our network. Collaboration is one of our core values, and but that's what Buttercrumble's been built up upon, us collaborating. So we always, pardon?
In the early days, we had a little bit more time to spend on projects like Sketch Easy, where we did bring in a range of different people to contribute to one piece, and I suppose they're the passion projects.
Yeah, exactly. And we do work on other kind of really fun and socially engaged, community orientated projects. So please do, if follow us on social media, sign up to our newsletter, and when we start our next collaboration and we have a call out for other designers or illustrators, you will be amongst the first to know.
Exactly. So I don't think we've had any submissions come through live today, but if anybody's watching this back later or you are watching now and you think of a question later, don't hesitate to drop us a comment because we still do read these and we would love to hear from you.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will be back next week with some more live Q&A and also our branding bite session. So please do stay tuned, and thank you so much for watching.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye bye.